Welcome back, everyone. You can see we're on location for Sunday's Sit Down this week and joined by a very special guest, Mizzou's new defensive coordinator, Corey Batoon. Corey, thank you for making some time for us. How's the adjustment been to Columbia?
It's been hectic,
right.
but it's been great. Love the town so far, getting a chance to explore it a little bit. You know, been living here in this building most of the time, but it's been good. It's been real positive.
Have you found any fun spots for the family in town? We were talking about, the family kind of moving out here.
Nah, they'll know where the weight room is. That's where I've been, and I've been in the offices, and haven't explored much, but anxious to get them down here so they can kind of get a feel for the land and kind of this town.
Right. Well, let's dive right into it. Spring ball, wrapped up, obviously. Kind of your first immersion. What a way to kind of immerse into this team. What was your impression of this defense you have here in spring ball?
Yeah, I mean, just watching the film when we first got here, diving in, meeting these players one-on-one. I think the culture here is really the positive thing that stood out to me, just kind of the way the guys went about doing their business. The attention to detail that they've shown, and then just getting to know them a little bit, watching them on tape and figuring out the schemes that they deployed. And kind of as we go through the spring, it's about player development. And so each individual guy, kind of getting a chance to sit down and talk about these are the things that you can improve on in these 15 opportunities. And now that we're on the back end of that, kind of now it's going back and seeing, hey, how productive were we in those opportunities? How specific in terms of the goals as we check these things off. Hey, these are the things that you need to improve on from a fundamental standpoint. And it's been really good. That's kind of the post-practice wrap-up, if you will. Just kind of getting a feel for this is where we're at right now, and then having a detailed plan in terms of moving forward.
Well, when they take the field in August here at Faurot Field, your first time going on Faurot Field, what's the mark of a Corey Batoon defense?
I think we want to be, first and foremost attack-driven, right? We want to try to create those havoc plays. We want to try to, play with tremendous enthusiasm, right? Playing as fast and as physical as we can be. And then, again, opportunity-wise, third downs, creating those type of momentum plays. I mean, those are the things that they've done here in the past, right? And that's kind of where the standard is. And, hopefully we can kind of continue to develop that, and being productive at the end of the day, the scoreboard is what matters, right?
Right. Well, Coach Trink was just talking about too, keeping that continuity. You mentioned there's a lot of similarities there. How did you kind of go about that in spring camp, kind of keeping some things the same for these guys, but also implementing some of your things as well?
Sure. I mean, a lot of that was done, before we even started practices, just trying to get familiar with the scheme and the system and the language, right? And that was the biggest thing, because in that transition, I thought it was, or we felt it was more important to keep the language the same for the kids. And so for myself and Coach Early, the new guys on staff, that was quite a transition in regards to what we called things. I mean, the X's and O's are similar just about every place you go in the country. It's just the language and how we kind of verbalize things, which is different. And so getting used to that was a challenge for me, but I think that helped in regards to our ability to get the kids on the same page, keeping the language the same thing. But yeah, I mean, it's a daily, you kind of go through it. And like I said, the spring was more so just an emphasis in terms of player development, right? And so schematically, those things will come as we kind of continue to develop and figure out who the pieces are and what they can do. Trying to get guys, because that's our job, right, is to get guys into positions where they can be the most successful with where they're at from their skill development. And so the 15 practices really allowed us to kind of dive in individually, looking at strengths and weaknesses now, and then moving forward, the scheme will be the scheme, and it'll be based on our player development and where we're at from a from a skill standpoint.
It helped you had another guy come in with you, Brian Early. Brian, the one impression I got was energy when we got to talk to him. What have you liked about, what Brian has brought in, obviously being new to the staff as well?
Yeah. I mean, just a really good guy, the way we had it set up, we were roommates, for a little bit, or housemates for a little bit, so got a chance to get to know him. I do think the energy part is something that you can see. I think his attention to detail in regards to how he's coaching those guys and creating the buy-in in the room. I mean, that's what's so important, is is as new guys coming in, is to show the guys that this is the plan and to create that buy-in as quickly as you can so that you're not wasting a lot of time. And I think that, his resume speaks for that in regards to the people he's been able to develop. And, when you start with really good kids that are eager to learn, and then you bring in that type of expertise and knowledge, I think that really helps you.
Well, I want to know, obviously coming to Mizzou, I'm sure it's such a change, coming to Columbia. Why Mizzou? What was the big reason to pick Mizzou for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think as an outsider looking in, you kind of see the potential of a place and what they've been able to do in a short period of time here with Coach Drink. Obviously last year having a great season, but still having a lot of those pieces intact, and the expectation playing in this league is different. We've always wanted to get back into this league, and what a tremendous opportunity with a guy that's aligned with this program and this university. I think our style of play kind of mirrors what's been done in the past, and so there was a little bit of a fit there. But really just getting an opportunity to work for Coach Drink and be a part of the culture that he's been able to establish here was something that we kind of looked at from afar, and when the opportunity became available, something that we really chased hard.
One thing that when we first met you in these press conferences here at spring camp that I found so interesting, obviously you're from Hawaii, you talk about how so many of those people who are in Hawaii, they all play football. It's like a culture there. How much do you feel like that kind of, stirred this love of football for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's, it was something like, my dad was a college basketball coach, right? And I have zero ability to play the game of basketball. But the coaching part of it really was something that I saw myself getting into, just seeing his relationship with his players, kind of that lifestyle, the coach's lifestyle. And so that was something that always, I knew that when I was done playing that I wanted to get into. And, just feel like growing up a coach's kid, you're able to see some of the ins and outs of what that job is, and knew that that's something I wanted to do at an early age.
Do you feel like you take anything stylistically from your dad in your coaching?
No, I think, basketball is such a different thing.
Right.
It's a different animal. I think the competitiveness, that he's had, I think I share that. And, it's an opportunity to be able to compete, obviously, in a different way than as a player, right? As a coach, you continue to be able to live through, your players in that regard. And so the competitiveness of it, has allowed me to continue to stay in the game that I've loved, since I was a little kid. And, it's something that continues to motivate and drive me.
Obviously, relationships with these players are so important. How do you go about, building those? Obviously, you've been here for a few months now, so how did you go about kind of building those relationships with these guys?
It just takes time, and it was really neat getting a chance to meet some of the parents after the spring game, getting a chance to connect with them, but spending time, the first day we were here, it was setting up meetings with the guys. Each guy, on death row, we sat down and had a chance to visit, 10, 15, 20 minutes to hear their story, know where they're from. I think that's how you build those connections. You show that it matters, and then how you go about your business daily in this building, getting a chance for them to be able to build that trust in me and vice versa. But again, time is the biggest thing, and taking an opportunity like meeting with parents and being diligent about that opportunity and really trying to build those bonds, I think is so critical, because things happen so fast nowadays with the transfer portal, with the recruiting windows. It's really hard on everybody, families, players, coaches. And so, it kind of goes back to, if you're willing to spend the time and it's important, then you'll build those bonds. And those bonds are going to be what we're going to lean on here in the coming months.
When you talk to the leaders of Death Row Defense, what do they say, the goal is for this season? I know spring ball is obviously an early stage of the season, but what is the goal for this defense, you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that's tangible that we've kind of put together at this point. The goal was, this day, right? This opportunity, right? Improvement, individual development. And so that was the goal coming into these 15 opportunities. And again, the scheme part and the big far-reaching goals in regards to what the fall looks like. I mean, we're not there yet. You know, it's about today and this opportunity and this practice, right? And feeling like as you're walking off that practice field, you had 12, you had 15, you had 18 periods to kind of get better at these type of things. And so being as specific as we can about the day-to-day improvement, right? The day-to-day grind and what it's supposed to look like. Those are the things that we were chasing in the spring. And so now as we get into the next phase, some scheme will come, right? Player chemistry will come, coach relations will come, and those are the things that we're kind of looking forward to now post-spring. But really it was a day-to-day, you know, what's important now, and really being able to feel good about checking those boxes and being, you know, mindful of the opportunity that we have right now.
You know, you kind of led right into it. I was going to ask, what do these next few months look like for you guys leading up until, you know, when fall camp will get started in August?
Right. Again, it goes back to player development and really taking a look at the 15 opportunities that we just had, where we've improved. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, but also from a schematic standpoint, now that we have a better feel for who these guys are and what they can and cannot do, is to make sure that the scheme that we have, you know, fits the profile of what we have right now in this team, this DNA right now. And so that's kind of where we've already started, you know, in terms of the evaluation process, and then trying to give feedback now that the 15 practices are over, like, about, you know, that constant, hey, this is where you're at, these are the things that we can do now to get better, and this is the plan that we have in place for you to do that. And so just being as specific as we can with each individual guy, and understanding that, you know, time is always the thing that we're chasing, right? And so we're going into spring break, the guys have an opportunity to turn their brains off, you know, kind of recharge a little bit, but when they come back is being, you know, having a plan and being able to start acting on that plan moving forward for the remainder of spring, and then into summer, and then into pre-fall camp, having those things outlined so that we can, you know, not waste any moment.
Well, Corey, I appreciate you making some time. I hope you get to enjoy a little bit of your spring as well.
That's the plan, but, you know, it's never too far from your mind, obviously.
Right. Well, thanks again for the rest of you guys. We'll be right back after the break.